ladies and gentlemen, and good morning, my esteemed panelists here. I'm Charmie, Parekh, Mr. Divyank, Singh, and Mr. Ashish, Kumar on the dais with me. Today we'll be talking more primarily, as the introduction was done, on citizen first and what all has been done to ensure that some citizen inclusivity and citizen first approach is taken as part of the smart city initiatives. Just to begin, my name is Nitin Arora and I'm a director with KPMG. And today, citizen has always been on the forefront or on the center of every scheme or any benefit scheme that or any of the services that government has always envisaged or planned. And in fact, our constitution also has a very key phrase of the people, for the people, and by the people. So people being the key word here. In any democratic country, the largest focus has been putting citizen first for any endeavor or any of the services that they envisage. And every initiative have been conceptualized with keeping the citizen interest in front. But at the same time, it's very, very important to understand that citizens also have a key role or equally important role to play in these kind of services or these kind of programs being developed by the government of India or any government, as a matter of fact. And unless and until we have a complete collaboration with the citizens also from their side as well, none of these programs would meet the objective that are being set for these particular areas. And even if you see the mission statement for the Smart City mission, that also ends and puts a key focus on a statement that says better optimization of resources and maximize services to the citizens. So that being said, and this being the context, I would like to start this discussion on how the smart cities in India over last 8-9 years have been putting citizens first, what all have been doing on inclusivity of citizens within the smart city mission. And let me initiate this discussion with kind of a discussion with Shri Divyank Singh. He's CEO for Indore Smart City. And so just want to understand, on what all areas have either Indore Smart City or any other that you are aware of have been doing to ensure that the Smart City mission goes as planned, and specifically for the areas of inclusivity of citizens, as well as keeping the citizen first in mind.
Thank you for calling me here. Good noon to everybody present here. Good noon to the esteemed panelists. Indore Smart City was one of the first smart cities that came up, first generation smart cities, you can say. And we work majorly on public participation and involving people more into our planning as well as execution. A point that comes to my mind, yesterday only Kumar sir was here. He told about how much the infrastructure that has to be made by 2050 in Western countries is already there. But when it comes to India, it's only 30%. So we have a scope of 70% more infrastructure which will come up within few years till 2050. So only governmental support cannot fulfill that mandate. So we have to go and reach out for public participation for it. Indore has been doing it for many years now, for 3-4 years now. Just to give you an example, because Indore is the cleanest city for 6th time in a row, and we are hoping it to get 7th time also. We are the first Water Plus city, first 7-star city. So just to give you an example of how we managed our wet waste with public participation, we have this garbage collection unit which goes door to door, and there was continuously public awareness that happened. It was a journey of more than 6 years of Swachhata, and without public participation, Swachhata cannot happen at all. That's very much intuitive. And more and more public participation came. To our own surprise, people actually came up. Initially, there were some outliers who were not following it, but when it penetrated deep into the public psyche that they have to go ahead with Swachhata, now we collect garbage on the spot at at 6 different garbage separations. So each household is having 6 different bins, and they segregate garbage at their own house at 6 different bins and provided at 6 different locations. So this is how deep the public participation and penetrated into the city. Each house is segregating their waste in 6 different waste baskets. This is a level of public participation there. And
I find it difficult to do it in two. So
yes,
not sure
yes. So for six, it's a continuous journey for 6 years, continuously hammering the same concept, involving them in each and every planning. When it comes to the PPP model, all of our wet waste, that is more than 500 tons, goes to our bio-CNG plant, which is generating 18,000 kgs of bio-CNG every day. Which costs around, which having a price of 18 lakh rupees per day. So we are generating 18 lakh rupees per day CNG through our waste. So and that is also recirculated back into fueling our own BRTS buses or public buses, and we are earning carbon credits out of it. So it's an end-to-end kind of solution that we have bring in with public participation, both in terms of wider retail participation as well as particular investment-based participation. And PPP model we already worked upon, and we thought that why not to move ahead and directly allow people to put in money into what is bigger projects that coming up in the city. So we recently became the first municipal body in India to issue IPO, to issue public issue of green bonds, which are listed in Bombay Stock Exchange. And to our surprise, and it's open for retail investor. Anybody, not only in Indore, but in whole of India can invest directly into the solar power plant that we are generating. And we asked for 244 CR, and within 3 hours of our opening up the issue, it got oversubscribed 3 times, and we got 771 CR. When we asked for 244, and all majorly retail investor from whole of the India. That's the kind of confidence that people have in the power of public participation and the returns that they will get once they invest into a city which moves ahead with public consultation and with public participation. And in all our plannings, we make sure that inclusivity is there. So just to give an example of inclusivity, we have more than 1,400 gardens which are maintained by Indore Municipal Corporation. And we got an idea through public only that these gardens are not well suitable for children. So because they are not developed keeping children in mind. So we came up with an idea of nurturing neighborhood, and we adopted many gardens and redesigned them, keeping in needs of children. The furniture size is small. There are no sharp edges, round edges are there. We kept in mind that gardens can be a part of cerebral development, and children can learn through texture, through sizes, through smell, through colors, through alphabets. And we made sure that we reclaimed urban spaces and converted them into nurturing neighborhood gardens. So that's a kind of inclusivity that we wanted in the development that we are making. And when it comes to redevelopment of any city, my colleagues will agree to it that whenever there is a redevelopment, there has to be some removal or reshifting or rehabilitation of those who are already present there. So we took multiple projects. In all, we have successfully rehabilitated and re-established more than 7,000 households. And we made sure that proper social impact assessment is done, proper environment impact assessment is done while doing it. And we relocate them as a society again, keeping in mind that their opportunities and their income opportunities are intact, their social fabric is intact. So a very minute level of of planning and involving people in each step is taken into consideration while we go ahead with the development that we have.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. Sorry. That's a great initiative, and some of the work that has been done, I'm sure, has been witnessed as well. I'm sure that this journey would not have been easy with the way you are describing. But just hold on to that thought, and I'll come back to that. But the way you mentioned that the participation has been there from the general public. So I would like to ask Charmie ji in terms of how have you tried to include citizens as well as include the corporates or other partners of the entire ecosystem within the Silvassa Smart City, and what have been key areas that you have the corporates or any other industry bodies have collaborated with you and made this Smart City mission possible, specifically keeping the citizen first perspective in mind?
Good afternoon, everybody, to esteemed panelists and everybody present here, and thank you for this opportunity. I would like to start with a theory of public administration, and while preparing for civil services, we were told that there are some basic principles of administrations that every administrator has to keep into account. And one of the important ones is the citizen-centric approach. Citizen-centric approach not only means that we have to aspire to fulfill all the needs and requirements of the citizens, but also take care of the inclusivity aspects. Inclusivity in terms of social, economical, and all kind of characteristics, and the feedback mechanism. So for Silvassa Smart City, our citizen is not just a citizen, he or she is a customer too. And since we are UT, which is neighboring Gujarat, and some people might know that Gujarati people are very business oriented, and for them customer is also a king. So we have adopted also the same mentality that our citizen is a king for us. And whatever the needs and aspirations of our citizens are, that should be the aspirations of our smart city. So since the beginning, we have tried the kind of bottom-up approach to involve these citizens. And not just the private individuals, but the groups of individuals and the corporates that exist in Silvassa. Silvassa is majority industrialized town, and there are a lot of industries involved. So our stakeholders are not just the private individuals, but these corporates as well. So since the initiation of the Smart City mission in Silvassa during the planning, through a lot of feedback mechanism, these groups have been involved. So one project of ours that is called Central Park. It is a park which is being developed in very much the middle of the city for 25 acres, where earlier erstwhile government buildings used to exist, which were in dilapidated conditions. We tore them down and we have made that space very much open to citizens. And as my colleague also rightly pointed it out, we made it a space which is suitable for old age people, for children, because we also realized that as the urbanization happens, we were losing out on the space that was suitable for people to go out and to have some interaction with, to just get some fresh air. So this kind of park is being developed in the middle of the city, where we have activity zones, aromatic zones, yoga zones, and all kind of activities which can be imagined. So this very idea of developing the park in the center of the city, that came from the citizen. Another project of ours, that is e-bus, and for which operation and maintenance, we have received a lot of awards and international recognition also. our citizens came forward with a feedback that we don't get to know when the bus would be reaching the next stop. At times there can be some exigency and bus might be getting late. And what we have tried is have our routes entirely based on the feedback of these people, of our citizens. So our city buses not only run through the city area, but it also reaches the far-flung area of the entire territory. And that's why it is the most beloved project of Silvassa Smart City for all its citizens. So these citizens only came forward with a solution that why don't we have a WhatsApp-based chatbot where people can just ask a simple query on how far is my bus, and they will be receiving a reply on their WhatsApp. We thought that while we implement our citizen app, it might take some time. Everybody might not have that facility or that memory space for installing these apps. And these days, everybody has got WhatsApp. So why not just implement it on WhatsApp? And again, that is one of the examples of how citizens came forward and how they only brought in the technology of making it convenient for themselves. So that's how they are, again, they are our kings and they are our clients as well. Another example, if I would like to give, and I would point out the involvement of the industries and the corporates here. Silvassa has been the pilot city in all 100 smart cities to implement the Cycle to Work campaign. Cycle to Work simply means that we encourage the employees and the employers to take bicycles to their workplaces. Since Silvassa is a small city and we can actually tell them that everybody lives like within 10 miles of the workplace, and that's why involving these industries and these corporate houses was easier for us. And we were surprised at the kind of innovations that the corporates came forward with. The corporates and the industries, the employers, they would come out with benefits for their employees, that my employee, if they have traveled every month, every day in a month to the workplace, then they will be gifted with a t-shirt or 500 rupees voucher or a water bottle or a safety helmet. So every industry in turn would give their own kind of benefits to their employees. What Silvassa Smart City had to do was just to push them, just to take some reviews and discuss on what all kind of challenges that they are facing. But the kind of innovative strategies for motivating their employees to take cycling forward and to take cycle to work entirely came from these corporates only. And I'm happy to share that after Bangalore, India is the second city, Silvassa is the second city in India who brought cycle to work. And now we are a pilot lighthouse city for all other 100 smart cities in the India. And I see that as a major achievement for us. Just one last example of how corporates have again been very much part of the development that is taking place in Silvassa. We have some flyover spaces coming up, and we usually see that the spaces beneath these flyovers are dead zones or gray areas where illegal parkings happen, unauthorized vending zones take place. So these industries have come forward and made those into a play area for people where some indoor kind of sports can happen with all the protective technologies, of course, where rain won't get in and dust and everything would also not hamper. We have developed basketball rings, boxing rings also beneath these flyover spaces. And it has been done entirely through the efforts of these industries and corporates. So these are some of the examples of how the citizens and the private individuals as well as the companies have come forward to take the initiatives forward for Silvassa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Parekh. I think that was an excellent example of what we call public-private partnership in terms of genuinely being partners to the growth and development of these smart cities. And some of these things definitely take time. Some of these things definitely have their bottlenecks or their challenges. So I would like to request Mr. Pathak, CEO, Ujjain Smart City, to share your experiences on what have been the key bottlenecks. I'm like, the journey we all know have not been easy in terms of finances and the infra development and all other areas. And specifically, there are, as Parekh was saying, that there are challenges in terms of inclusivity of everybody and ensuring that everybody is working with one objective of development and citizen first. So what are the key bottlenecks or challenges do you think there have been in getting this citizen first approach as part of your experience?
Good afternoon all. Good afternoon my esteemed panelists and audience, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to address some of the key issues of smart city missions. So when in 2016 a smart city mission has been launched, the idea behind this to lead out with that 6 key dimensions and to enable every cities to develop in these 6 dimensions which is mentioned in that smart city missions guideline, which includes smart economy, smart mobility, smart people, smart governance, and smart environment. So in Ujjain smart city, the kind of SCP we submitted with the consultation of the citizens, which was the idea of the smart city mission, that project should be submitted with the consultation of the citizens. So actually the participation of the citizens has been required from that level only. But at initial level, the kind of SCP we submitted, I think every city some of the other time faced the same challenges, because the idea was very new, and that city level advisory forum and other things come in the existence afterward only. So when SCP is already freeze, so kind of confrontation and suggestions comes from the CLF, city level advisory forum, because political representative was the part of that, and other stakeholder was engaged at that level only. So definitely it was a pressure and a kind of bottleneck for all the cities to incorporate their advice and their suggestion in their SCP, which is already freezed. But thanks to the mission and the Mahua, that they permitted us. So we try to resolve these all things and incorporate the good suggestions, and keep trying to make our plan more pupil friendly, and the suggestions of all the stakeholders should be incorporated in that. In Ujjain smart city, our that ABD area, which is around 877 acres, is surrounded by Mahakal temple. You know that Ujjain is the religious capital of Madhya Pradesh and one of the most prominent religious place in central India. More than 1.5 crore people are traveling every year in Ujjain. So the idea while making the smart city project in Ujjain to facilitate that visitor and make that Mahakal temple and its premises more people friendly, and to facilitate the travelers in a better way. So the biggest challenge was that old settlement and displacement of the people, because you know that Ujjain is an old city, and in every old city which is of religious importance, you will find that these temples is not only the center of the religious sentiments, but all the economic and social infrastructure and cities developed in the same way. So that old settlement, and as I mentioned you, that initially we have only 2.47 hectare land with the Mahakal temple, and the kind of influx of the people which are visiting to temple, it is really very tough to manage. So now after completion of that project, we have 47 hectare land in our project. So it's a huge transformation. And definitely for that, around 400 families we shifted from there. One is one more bottleneck which we faced, that in a smart city mission, we conceptualized the plan on the paper. But while execution, we need some money for displacement, land acquisition and everything. and which is not, there is no provision for land acquisition and settlement. But we were lucky enough that we have a hand holding with the state government and district administration. We got additional 150 crore rupees from the state, and we addressed that issues and properly we displaced the people. So I think the biggest bottleneck was that this only. So far as the question of citizen consultation is concerned, in Ujjain Smart City, we adopt a 360-degree consultation process. Because when you are dealing with, or when we are going with a religious project, it becomes very tough to address the sentiment, cultural and religious sentiment. So we onboarded district administration, Sri Mahakal Mandir Trust Committee, a cultural committee has been formed, and because lots of issue was related with the cultural and heritage concern, so we made partner to the Kalidas Academy, the cultural department of Madhya Pradesh. We formed a cultural committee in which the priest of the Mahakal temple was involved. They are onboarded. So as there were issues, there was some bottlenecks, but I think at the end of the day, if we are taking a proper bottom-up approach and involving all the stakeholders and trying to keep all their advice while executing the project, I think it's not, although bottlenecks are there, but okay, at the end of the day, everything gets well.
Makes sense. I think that's a very pertinent area of challenges to ask in terms of, like, we all know in India, religion is religion, and the challenges that we face along with that, some of them genuine and some of them not so genuine. But I think if we have, and that was the reason of asking that if we can do that in a city like Ujjain, which has so much of religious and cultural history, and being one of those very old cities of our civilization, if we can do that, I think I'm sure we can definitely take it forward to any of the cities. And also, just quickly, so what would be your viewpoint in terms of what are some of the improvement areas, either in processes or in support from, as Ms. Parekh was saying, on alliances with the private partners or with the citizens, specifically with the citizens, that some of the asks or some of the better areas of improvement that we can look at when we talk about smart city development going forward.
It's a question for me?
Yeah, please.
So, in my opinion, I think that after implementation of the project, the sustainability of the project is the biggest challenge. And for that, we need some private partners and the proper monetization of the kind of infrastructure we have been made. For example, our Mahakal Mahalok project, which is inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister in October, after the inauguration of that project, the number of the tourists increased 2 times. Like initially, we were expecting that it will not increase in that way. So all of a sudden, the number of the tourists has increased in a huge number. Like initially, it was 1.5 crore per year, but now we are expecting from 4 to 5 crore people every year. And the city like Ujjain, where it's a city of event. So, although the population of the city is 500,000, but on Mahashivratri, it became a city of 2 million people. Wow. And I think there are 20 or 25 sawaris of Mahakal Mandir took place in the whole year. Shravan Mash is there. In the whole Shravan month, the number of the people is very high. In last Sihast, which used to happen after every 12 years, the 70 million people visited Ujjain in 1 month. So you can understand the challenge of the city planners that we have to build a city which is normally a 500,000 city, but on a one particular day it becomes 2 million city. So it's really a big challenge, and for that we need to make partners to all stakeholders, whether they are from the hospitality industry, When I'm talking about the stakeholder consultation, police, district administration, Mahakal temple committee, priest, culture committee, everybody need to be on the same page. So it's a challenge, but I think we are dealing in a good way, and the outcome is very good. Like when I'm saying okay, now when we executed the project, so now people have faith with us. So in second phase, in Mahalok second phase, we are not facing that much of issue, because initially the things was only on the paper. But when we execute the phase one of the project, people have faith with us. They're offering themselves. Like I just want to mention that how public representative will get involved after the execution of a successful project. In this year, our mayor, our corporator is giving their fund to a smart city to execute their project. So now they have faith with the smart city. They know that we are able to deliver in a better way. So I think things were not such as we started the project. This year, I think day before yesterday, the budget has been passed by the MIC, and they offer 3 or 4 projects from municipal corporation, funding from municipal corporation, and they are asking to execute that smart city is going to, they are offering us to execute that project. So I think this is a good change.
So as we say in our sales language, you are way beyond your target, overachieved. So excellent. And I think we're running short of time. So quickly, let me come back to Ms. Parekh and taking this forward. And in the earlier session also, we saw that there were a lot of concerns around the safety and security of citizens, specifically women and children. And also there were a lot of concerns, there have always been a lot of concerns in terms of safety and well-being of senior citizens. So in that aspect, if you could share your, some case studies or some experiences on how this can be made better or this have been made better, and keeping in mind that how you have included the citizens for their well-being itself.
Very important question and a valid one in this context, because safety also, I believe, is in the hands of citizens. We can not just rely on the government or the administration, the district administration, to be responsible for safety. And I remember my childhood where I would cycle to school and my parents were not worried that my kid would get run over by the cars or the trucks, or that my kid would get kidnapped, right? So the changing time and the changing technologies, all I can say is that we can leverage it to be more beneficial to us. One example, I'll give one example that we are already leveraging technology in ensuring the safety of the citizens, especially women and children, is again our e-buses and how we have live tracking of these buses happening. And as I said, the WhatsApp chatbot also. So you can have the location of any bus or any citizen traveling through that bus on the WhatsApp as well as in our ICCC room. Of course, all other smart cities have implemented the integrated command and control centers in their cities, and they are getting the live feed from all the surveillance cameras also. But I believe the more surveillance kind of system that we put in, we become more vulnerable also. But at the same time, again, we have to use this technology and try to feel safe. So our cycle to work campaign also is going to be implemented in school now, and we call it cycle to school. And with a simple technology of RFID and installing it in every cycle with small GPS attached. Parents can also see where their children is going on their path, because at the same time we want children to take bicycles to their schools, and there is a safety concern. So of course there are some civil infrastructural things that we can do. We can have dedicated cycling lanes, we can have dedicated pedestrian zone. But at the same time we have to have all our citizens aware that we follow the speed limit, we do not park our vehicles in the dedicated cycling zones and pedestrian areas, because we see that almost all cities have pedestrian zones, almost all cities have now some or the other kind of cycling zone also, but the practical problem is that we'll see that the two-wheelers and four-wheelers are also parked there. So unless and until every citizen feels that no, it is a dedicated cycling lane or a dedicated pedestrian zone where I cannot encroach upon, we will still not have that sense of security. So yes, we have a lot to do when it comes to making citizens aware that yes, this is your zone, this is the vehicle zone, this is the cycling zone, and that is the pedestrian zone. And we have to have that discipline imbibed in every citizen. I feel that is very important.
Completely agree. And my next comment is, as a citizen, I'm a cycling enthusiast, and the biggest challenge we cycling group we face is a dedicated place for us to cycle. Any of the roads or any of the areas, even in the early morning, are not safe for us. I'm sorry I'm saying this, but that's a fact, and unfortunately I have known a couple of very close friends who have met with cycling accidents. So I think that is one of the key areas and key request as a citizen I would want to make to everybody who's doing the smart cities is to take care of that part. And whenever we talk about safety and security of citizens, I think including that as part of our charter or as part of our infra plan is very, very important to include and ensure that, and again, I'm not comparing per se, but using just as example. So if you go to, let's say, UK, they are dedicated, properly marked, segregated lanes, and even if the car drivers want to encroach into the cycling lanes, they cannot. There are dividers built in, there are markings done, and there are huge consequences. So everything is about consequences. So there are huge consequences. So are we looking at something like this for cyclists or any of that community where, so I have two daughters, so that I can send, as you mentioned, in today's date, I cannot send my daughter alone cycling on the road. It's not safe. So how do we take care of that part?
So, involvement of citizen groups, again, it narrows down to the involvement of citizens and these groups and these enthusiasts only, where their voices get heard. And so for Silvassa, what we have done is we have planned our sessions with traffic police as well. Every quarter we sit together with traffic police personals, and we ensure that they get that training as well, that you have to give preference to the pedestrians and the cyclists also. And even for the red lights as well, we have trained them that whoever is going to honk after the light turn green, you'll have to penalize them, or you'll just have to request them earlier. So of course it can come from the citizens. And as their voice gets louder and louder, it will definitely bring about a policy change. And a city at administrative level also can start with some request and then get probably harsher and harsher. Recently I had an opportunity to go to Copenhagen, and I was because it is one of the cycling capitals of the world. And I had an opportunity to meet with the Cycle Association president there. And I was very keen on knowing how did they start about it, how did they have the entire municipal council to plan the cycling tracks everywhere that is available. So the biggest fundamental thing is the planning, right? The road planning, because for them, their priorities are simple. Their first priority is the pedestrian, their second priority is the cyclist, and their third priority is the cars. Where do we stand in India?
Totally
we are making more and more flyovers. Yeah. And if we want the pedestrians to go, we will make a foot over bridge. We will make them climb up the bridge, we'll make them cross that bridge, and then we'll make them climb down. True. So, of course, things will come from bottom up. when the citizens' voices get louder, but at the same time, we need some top-bottom approach as well in terms of policy.
Right.
Thank you.
I completely agree with everything you said, and I'm sorry, everyone. I think there's some security issue that we need to address too. So we will not be able to take any questions or do a proper closing. But I think it was very, very evident that as of now we have a lot of inclusivity already in place. We have done some excellent work in terms of including citizens and bringing them as part of the overall smart city ecosystem. At the same time, we have our new challenges. We have a lot of opportunities as well. But I'm sure we are doing good work and taking that forward. So with that, I would like to thank all my panelists and thank you so much for being a lovely audience. Thank you. Have a great day.